5:30.
We are recording.
Okay, well, let's get started. This is the Suamico Village Board meeting for Monday, the special village Suamico Village Board meeting for Monday, November 10th, 2025. The time is 5:30 PM. At this time, I would like to call the
Motion to
meeting to
approve.
order. And I would look for a motion to approve the evening's agenda. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
So I have a motion from trustee Romas to approve the evening's agenda. Is there a second?
Second that.
I have a second down on the end from trustee Stevens. All right. Is there anyone else, any questions, discussion on this item? Then let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. No, sorry, you got to vote. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed. Motion carries. We are 5-2, 5-0. All right. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. No.
When I started that motion, I got 3 the game. I'm going to try to get
I was apparently trying to rush this along either, as well. Okay. Item number 4 this evening is public appearances. This is the time when anyone in the audience who wishes to speak on an item not on the agenda, if you would come forward, provide your name and address, and let us know what's on your mind. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak to an item not on the agenda? Seeing no one, hearing no one, we will move on to item number 5. Item number 5 this evening is a public hearing for the 2026 Village of Suamico proposed budget. Finance Director Demeny.
All right, hello.
Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello. All right, so included in your packet this evening was some of the summary schedules that were part of the 2026 budget that was handed out, as well as the fee schedule. Similar to last year, the PowerPoint will go through some of the highlights of this year's budget and some of the various funds. All right, so looking at the summary of taxes, the levy presented in the 26 budget was $6,090,798, which is an increase of about $72,000 or 1.2% from 2025 levy. The proposed mill rate is 2.7043 per thousand, which is a decrease of 1.26, $1.26 or 31.83%. The decrease is attributed mostly to the village revaluation. If we were to compare the 26 proposed mill rate to 25's rate with the different assessed values, it would be a decrease of about a penny or less to the mill rate. So what it equates to is approximately a $5.89 decrease on a median value property in the village, or a decrease of 72 cents for every 50,000 of property value. So looking at the distribution of the $6.1 million levy, 58% goes towards operations, 20% goes towards capital, and 22% is going towards debt service. If we compare to the 25 budget, the operational levy increased roughly just under $16,000. The capital levy decreased about $250,000, but the debt levy increased about $305,000. Again, if you'll remember from last year, there was a dip in the debt service levy, which we utilized in the capital levy for Lineville, so it kind of swapped back to what it's been in prior years. When we look at this slide, it looks at the assessed values over the years. You'll see that prior to the reval between 25 and 26, there was one done in 2020 for the 2021 budget year. Before that, it hadn't been done since 2009. I like to look at this, I guess, two things. There's, well, a couple things just to see the growth over the years, but also if you look at the 2021 budget year, the percent change from prior year was only 29%, 29.5%, where the market has changed significantly in the last 5 years, that this year changed about 46.5%. So if we go to the revenues for this year's budget, some of the highlights, we had discussed transportation aids on October 9th a little bit. This fluctuates each year as it's part of the 6-year average of kind of some specific things that get reported to the state. With various projects in the last couple of years, we are seeing this amount trending up, but it's something that we'll continue to look at each year and forecast, knowing it will plateau and decrease at some point depending on projects. The increase in intergovernmental revenues includes the increase in transportation aids, but also the smaller increases to the state shared revenue, fire dues, and personal property aid. The decrease in licenses and permits is driven by the decrease in road permits, again, still kind of decreasing from the TDS permitting. That was from a couple years ago. And cable TV franchise fees have steadily decreased. When we look at general fund expenses, you'll see the overall change from prior year is only about $9,000 increase, kind of offsetting. So the general government section, that was where the village revaluation was last year. Again, that was offset by non-tax revenue, but the overall expenses, it's still included in there. So that kind of offsets that. Otherwise, very small changes in each area. So we'll highlight some of those. The law enforcement contract, we're in year 2. That's an overall increase of about $47,000. In 2026, there's 3-year potentially 4 elections versus the 2 in 2025. So the election part-time wages increased about $11,500. Finance department, we're not filling a part-time position. That's been vacant since early 2024. So that decreased about $8,000. There was an approved 2.64 base wage adjustment for staff, which isn't included. But also there are administrative expenses that were previously allocated to TID number 1, but those got moved to the general fund with the TID 1 expenditure period ending at the beginning of '26. Next, we'll look at debt service fund, just kind of looking at it as a percent of the levy. Just kind of shows the history from 2018 through future of 2030. The drop in 27 to 2028 is a result of the 2015 refunding bonds. Their last payment occurs in 2027.
Can you go back to that just real quick?
Yeah.
So just as a reminder, looking at 2025, our debt service is 17% of levy, and then that rises then to 22%. What was the increase again?
That was where we smoothed it out because there was one low year with how payments lined up.
Okay.
So it offset similar like in 2022 where there was that dip. We offset it utilizing capital levy.
Okay.
But then kind of brought it back up just to
Thanks.
smooth the overall levy.
Yeah, I needed that reminder. Thank you.
Yep. So then next, we'll look at some of the capital projects that were included in the budget. The 2026 planned road reconstruction was approximately $60,000 higher in '26 than '25. The Calavera playground equipment, that's being funded through the use of the Park and Rec Facility Maintenance Sinking Fund. And the other equipment noted on this slide is purchased through the use of ERR funds. This year, about $186,000 of levy was allocated to ERR. So we'll move on to the wetland mitigation fund. So this is kind of the same as last year. A lot of this just is really dependent on the construction that gets completed during the year. So this is our best estimate if and when construction occurs. It still does show a negative fund balance, but again, that can change based on the credit sales if they occur during the year. There's not a ton on this one.
We have no credits available to us though currently.
Correct.
We're waiting for the issuance of credits.
Correct.
Yep.
For TID number 1, it has an expenditure period ending 1/1 of '26. So as I just noted before in the general fund expenses, some of the admin costs that were allocated here have since been moved to general fund. So capital outlay, though, consists of the non-developer portion of Deerfield Court and the approved work for East Deerfield. That will be the last project in TID 1, as that needs to go through before the expenditure period, approved before the expenditure period ends. So we will continue to have the debt payments from the sewer extension for East Deerfield. That will continue through the life of this TID for when it closes 1/1 of '31. I know this is TID 4. I did not include a TID 2 slide as number 2 is in its closing process right now. So included in the budget was just the payout to the other taxing jurisdictions and a transfer to the village for our portion. But otherwise, there is no other activity with TID 2. So for TID 4, this TID has an expenditure period open through May 19th of 2029. As we noted last year, the village used cash funds in '24 and '25 to support the Lineville project. There is no capital outlay planned for '26. The TID will be contributing to the debt payments for this year's borrowing related to Lineville, projected to start in about 2028 for those payments. Also, it shows a negative ending net position for this year, or for '26 proposed, which is proposed through about 2030. But by then, we are forecasting that it'll be positive from 2031 through the life of 2034. For the garbage and recycling fund, the 2026 budget does increase the collection fee to $195 a year, which is an increase of $5 in comparison to 2025. We continue to transfer funds to the road reconstruction fund, about 3% increase from 2025. And this fund is estimated to have a small gain of about $7,000 at the end of 2026. And then on to stormwater. The 2026 budget holds the fee per REU at $40. This fee has remained at $40 since the 2022 budget, so for 5 years. The transfer to stormwater sinking fund stayed at $40,000 this year. And the estimated unrestricted cash balance is about $310,000. It's greater than 9 months of operating expense, so it does remain healthy through 2026. Otherwise, the fee schedule that was included in your packet for tonight, the only adjustment there was adjusting the extra garbage and recycling cart fee to account for the increased annual fee for that. Other than that, there were no changes made than what was presented on October 9th. So if you have any questions or discussion.
Questions for Director Demeny on this item?
I have one question.
Yeah.
Is when the new well and/or water storage comes online, where does that hit in this? How does that play in?
It will not hit the budget that gets approved tonight.
Right.
It'll be part of the utility budget that gets presented at Public Works Utility and then presented to the board after that. That'll be just the sewer and water budgets.
And when will that be?
I believe it should be the first meeting in December,
Okay.
I believe, second meeting. It's in December. Without a calendar right now,
That's right.
Not positive on
There's
the
only
dates.
1 or 2 choices in
Yeah.
December, so
It'll be-
we'll get it.
it'll go through Public Works. They'll have a meeting at the beginning, towards the beginning of December, and then it'll come to the board after that.
Okay. That comes in the form of the regular board meetings, or is that a separate meeting?
The regular meeting.
Okay.
Other questions for Director Demeny on this item?
I think it's a good budget, but I have a problem with one thing. For me, that's pretty good. If you notice, and we mentioned it on Budget Day, the cemetery director position. Basically, when the association transferred it all to the village, we were talking, and that former sexton, he used to cut the lawn, he used to literally dig the hole, he used to do the whole clerical end. And now we have DPW that cuts the lawn, and some situations with digging, I think they do, or contracting out. The director doesn't do any of that. And the clerical would be the deputy director and we're interviewing for this person, and that's within the job description. So, on health and services, oh, you guys didn't bring it. We're proposing $3,350 in the budget, and I just don't think that needs to be there. And I realize the cemetery committee picks their director, but we have the purse strings. And staff's doing the work.
So I think my suggestion on this, you're more than well, I mean, you've got your points. I think we need to take this, so what we have in front of us right now is the budget that we looked at on October 9th. I think we need to have this broader discussion and make this a line item as a future meeting, I think, because we don't have this specifically on the agenda to discuss that particular role.
It's the budget, and it's a line item in the budget.
It is, and it's a budget that we all,
And we even said when we were going to do this, we said, you know what, we're going to do this, and we'll wait and see a year or whatever. But now we're kind of to the point where we're like, yeah, staff does most of this. And I don't think that's a responsible use of cemetery funds. You got to watch your funds there. They got to last forever.
could we, can we put this on an item for the next meeting so that there's public awareness that we're going to have this discussion? I don't know that I feel prepared enough to go in depth on this right now without seeing the revised job description and understanding who's going to do these tasks. I'd like to see a breakdown from staff of who does dig the holes, who's going to manage, these elements going forward. And then I think you're 100% right. We have the power of the purse string. We can't appoint, but we can determine that, as a group, have that discussion and determine that the role for $3,350 is not the same as the role was. I would like to see that broken down and have a broader discussion on it. But I'm open to however the group wishes to proceed.
Well, I agree with that. We can review it with the breakdown of the job duties and descriptions.
And the position today is still open, right? I mean, internal, the administrative person.
The deputy
Yeah.
director is still
Right.
open, but those tasks are within the job description. At least the clerical ones are.
Most, but not all. Like, for example, and remember, we have an agreement that the board approved back in April of '24. You'd have to sever that agreement at some point if that's the direction you want to go. But, for example, meeting with individuals and families looking to purchase a plot, that's not within the job description of the deputy clerk. That's something that we still delegate to the cemetery director.
And the director would still get that commission for sales.
If they have a sale, yes. Yep.
Yeah.
So that's within the agreement that you pay $250 per month plus $100 for every lot sold. And there is a clause in here that it, automatically renews, but it can be terminated with a 90-day written notice. You'd have to go through that process.
Okay.
Like you couldn't, you could take the money out, but you still owe the person based on this agreement until you terminate.
For 90 days.
Correct. Yep. you know, I would advise maybe you bring in the cemetery director and,
Owe them,
Talk through
owe
this.
them for 90 days?
yep, the agreement shall remain in
So-
place, reviewed annually, and may be terminated by either party with a 90-day written notice of intent to terminate. It's part of the agreement that the board approved last year.
Okay.
So do we want to put this on a future agenda for a broader discussion? It sounds like you definitely would like to
I
see
think
that.
we should,
I think it's a good idea.
Okay,
Okay.
because it sounds like the position has changed.
It's not changed, but it's, we were feeling our way through it. I didn't agree with it in the beginning. But either way, you had to try it, and you tried it, and I guess we'll see what,
things could be different now than they were then.
When I said the position changed, I didn't mean your position changed. I meant just
Yeah,
the
yeah.
position, what the
but that,
role is.
I don't,
becoming.
oh, okay.
So,
So I think you have more than two of the additional requests from the board to put this on an agenda for an in-depth discussion on the position, what the duties are, who's covering those duties. And I think history would be good. You had brought up some history about who was cutting the lawn, who was digging holes, et cetera, et cetera. We need to understand that as well. So if that's not currently taking place, who is taking place, and the village should be compensated if we're the ones who are actually putting in the if the village and taxpayers are the ones putting in the actual manual labor aspect of it.
so I just have two questions on this, if I could. So,
Are you
Oh, I'm
done?
sorry.
trustee Eckert, or
Those,
do you
those
have-
funds are taken from the cemetery budget, right? Which is the cemetery accounts?
So you're talking the salary?
Yeah,
The salary and the $50 payment to the director
yeah.
per plot?
So I mean, it's still part of the general fund. I have to look at the revenue side for it.
I mean, are,
If the revenues are hard to gauge each year, depends who comes in, and where the level of revenue for plot sales will be, or the burial fees. So if they're low one year, the general fund does cover the expenses from the cemetery.
okay, okay, yeah, we can't predict the future. So I'm just saying, are the taxpayers picking this up, or is the cemetery picking up this?
It sounds like the taxpayers are responsible if the revenues from the sale of plots does not cover the expenses. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did it?
I'd have to look back, yeah, they have, currently the operation fund balance, which is, earmarked in the general fund, has $6,000 in it. So that balance changes year to year based on the revenues to expenses. So it could go up a little bit if the revenues were high, could be used depending where the expense and revenue is.
Could you have that breakdown of that information for when we have
Sure.
this discussion?
Yep,
Because I think that would be helpful. I think it's important to look at this and the tasks that are necessary to manage the cemetery, the fees should be covering those tasks, if at all, if at all possible. I mean, then we also have a responsibility as a village, to those who are already interred,
Yeah,
to maintain.
definitely.
to maintain.
Thank you.
Okay. So, good, are we good on that item? So staff understands that we would like to see this on a future agenda. That would be great.
Thanks.
For an in-depth discussion.
But like this year yet?
Oh, yeah, we'll put it on the next one.
Okay.
Okay. Are there there was others,
Well,
trustee
let's
Roman?
step back. We have a meeting next week. We'll see if we can get it.
two super easy
Wrapped up.
questions. Just relax. So,
He's
on,
got a tie on. It's not easy. for
I
him
know.
tonight.
so the second slide, I just want to make sure just educate me here, Katie. So the impact is $409,600 property median, which means it's the middle, it's not the average, it's the middle of a large group of numbers. So that's a decrease of $5.89. Do we know, and is it possible to know, at what assessed value is a zero change? Or is that too
You
complicated?
wouldn't be
of a-
able to know that based on the property value itself. You'd have to know what the increase or decrease to your revaluation was.
Okay, so we would just be seeing that, so if we, and it would be a percentage?
It would be a
increase?
percentage, and I thought we had tried to find that number, and it was something like if your assessed value went up, don't quote me on this, but I feel like it was somewhere in the 60% range.
Okay,
If it
so-
went up more than 60%,
Let the record
roughly.
reflect that administrator, no, just
said
kidding.
exactly, yeah. No, so the average
Because-
increase to your assessed value was 46.5%.
What triggered that question, that thought, was the next part of that where it says impact decrease per 50,000 in property value. And I was looking at that and I was thinking, okay, so that sounds like an actual number, not a reference to a previous or whatever. But the other one I understood to be a change in value. So that's a decrease per 50,000 in the assessed value of the property?
Can I,
Goes down.
Katie, I'll try this one.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
so if you wanted to have a larger slide, you could have said decrease per $50,000 in property value if your increase in assessed value was 46.5%. It would be a subtraction of 72 cents per 50,000.
Okay.
It gets wonky with the revaluation. So if your revaluation caused your property to increase by less than 46.5%,
Get more.
it wouldn't be 72-cent reduction, it'd be less than that.
And so it drives that, is when we have a person like last week who came in and said that his house was assessed a certain amount, and he believes that his taxes will increase. We don't really have a good way to, on the fly, talking with the person, finding out what the assessed change is, to say, no, you wouldn't see any change.
You would have to know what the increase, the percentage increase
Yep.
to their assessed value.
And you had this is all still the second question. Just in case you-
I'm not keeping track.
Yeah, okay. So when the tax forms, whatever, came out, we had a really cool little calculator in each form that we could just put the numbers in and figure out what our tax increase would be. That was very helpful because I had a couple people call me complaining about the increase that said, hey, check out the form, run the numbers and see if you're actually paying more or less. Is that calculator on our website somewhere?
It's not, but it's also not meant to show you what your new tax bill is going to be. It was
From the
simply an exercise to show you that your tax rate would decrease after the revaluation. So we did not have the ability to know what, say, for example, the school district.
No,
where
just
it was gonna
village.
be.
Just village.
Just
right?
village? So
Just village.
if you're a village resident and you want to know what you think you're going to be paying for your village portion of the tax bill, you take your assessed value, divide it by 1,000, and multiply it by 2.7, and you're going to get a really good idea of what you'll be paying in the village
Okay.
portion of the tax bill. That number, that formula, probably isn't on our website.
Okay, and the average person, just talking about communication, et cetera, do you think the average person out in the village would know that?
Would know what?
That
How to
they-
calculate
that
that?
they-
No, I would not think that.
I just think it might not be a bad thing to make it easy,
You'd want to explain to them, though, that's not the total tax.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be, and
Because we don't control the other taxing entities, all we do is we
That would
collect
be-
it for them.
that would add
Yeah.
more questions later. I
It
think,
might,
if-
but
if
at
we
least you're
don't
based on
spell that out.
facts.
Well, we do have, we do have a graph that goes out, the dollar bill graph, the infamous dollar bill graph.
I love that thing.
Yeah, yeah. That actually
That'll be
shows the
good.
proportion of the
Yeah.
full tax bill that goes to the village, which goes to NWTC, and that which goes to the school district.
Yeah, that'd be
I
good.
mean, the school district doesn't appreciate us putting that out. However, it breaks the tax, it's a graphic portrayal of where these tax dollars go. Whereas I agree, if we just threw out the percentage, 2.7 per thousand, there are going to be a significant number of folks who are going to do that math and are going to think that that's their full tax bill, and then they're going to be really upset when they get taxed, a significant amount more from the school district and the county. Although the county's portion went down again this year,
It
correct?
did.
Because the villages are taking on more services?
No comment?
No comment. It's a good, wise man.
Okay. Well, we're almost out of time. I just thought it'd be
Okay.
a good idea to get information into people's hands.
That's good, that's good.
Not gonna happen.
This was really well done. I thought the storyline of this was easy to follow. And I'd encourage us to think about, as we educate our village residents, about how we're managing cost. This would be an excellent blog and/or podcast that would talk through what we're doing as a village to combat inflation. So I encourage us to think about that. And you could be a rock star.
Katie has
podcaster.
already expressed her desire to create a podcast on this content.
It would be very valuable.
At least I think she did. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's not
Hint, hint.
a nice in-depth discussion is a good idea.
I think,
Great
yeah,
plan.
I mean, it's a great story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so moved.
And it's well conveyed, and that's why it's important, I think, that you be part of that. You may not want to be, but if you could find a way to do that, you convey it so well, I think it would be important.
It's not live,
Correct. There's that part of it.
yeah.
Okay.
You'd be just fine.
All right.
Thank you very much for that.
You're
Anyone
welcome.
else?
I'd just like to make a motion to approve.
Anyone else?
President Van Rossum.
No.
This is a public hearing. You'd need to open up
Okay,
the hearing
We did that.
and close it.
very good. Is there, as noted, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward and speak to this item, Resolution 25023, adopting the general fund special revenue funds as we've been discussing? Anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on this item? Seeing no one, do I need a motion to close public
No,
hearing?
you as the chair can close it.
Then I will close the public hearing as directed by our administrator.
Can I make a motion to approve Resolution 25023 to approve the 2026 budget as presented and the attached fee schedule?
Are you making a motion?
If I may,
You certainly may.
if I may be recognized.
Trustee Romas has offered a resolution to approve Resolution 25023, adopting the 2026 General Fund, Special Revenue Funds, Debt Service Fund, Capital Projects Funds, including TIDs 1, 2, and 4, Garbage Recycling Fund, Stormwater Fund, and accompanying levies, and the 2026 fee schedule. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second from Trustee Andrews on this item. Are there further comments or questions on this from the board? Anyone? Well, roll call, please.
Trustee Andrews.
Aye.
Trustee Eckert.
Aye.
Trustee Gomez.
Aye.
Trustee Stevens.
Aye.
President Van Rossum.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Very good. I have a motion from Trustee Romas to adjourn this evening's meeting. Is there a second?
Second that.
I have a second from Trustee Stevens to adjourn this evening's
Was
meeting.
that the fee schedule too, or is that, okay?
Yep, that was
Sorry.
included in there. The 2026 fee schedule was approved as well. So we have a motion from Trustee Romas to adjourn this evening, seconded by Trustee Stevens. Did I get that right?
You did.
I did, very good. All right. All those in favor of adjourning this special meeting of the Suamico Village Board for approval of the budget, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And those opposed. That motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much. Have a good evening. Oh.